Hey you! Are wild campers the motorcyclists of the great outdoors? Recently, the Supreme Court came to a decision regarding wild camping rights on Dartmoor, and whereas I personally feel they came to the correct decision and sided with the camping, that's not an opinion that's universally held, as I'm sure you can probably imagine. And whereas most people have demonstrated over recent weeks that they are easily intelligent enough to understand that not every wild camper is going out there trashing the place, and of course not every landowner is some kind of 15th century style land baron grinding the peasants into the fields while he's eating a gold turkey in his castle. There's of course some extreme voices and some people who I'm sure are just baiting for the various bits of engagements and exposure they can get. However, there are some interesting thoughts that have come surrounding this debate, because some people really do have these absolutely extreme views and absolute hatred of certain people when it comes to spending time in the great outdoors. And to be 100% honest, in some cases I think that almost the group that's arguing against the wild campers have less rage and less hatred for some of the worst elements of wild camping than the campers themselves. So what I mean by this is that it could be walkers or landowners passing through an area and see an abandoned tent or a load of litter that's obviously been left there from somebody who stayed overnight and think, ugh, can you believe that? What scumbag's done that? Oh, terrible, and so on. Quite rightly so. Whereas myself, as a wild camper and a stealth camper, will walk past something like that and think, what sort of person has done that? So first of all, the standard reaction that people should have to these things. But secondly, I'll also then think, great, so now if I'm passing through here with my big rucksack on and somebody can see I've got a camping mat or anything like that, I'm also immediately under suspicion, and there's a chance now that anybody in this local area who sees that is going to look at that, and even if they know it wasn't me, they're going to think, oh, Dan, he's one of those sort of characters who does that sort of stuff. Because that's their visible exposure to wild camping, of a load of litter and rubbish has been left, a half smouldering fire sometimes. We won't get onto that topic though. The reality is, even if somebody did happen to walk past somewhere that I personally have stealth camped, just like the vast majority of stealth and wild campers, you wouldn't even know anybody had been there. People who watch my videos may have seen me literally ruffling up the leaves on the floor so that you can't even see the outline of where my tent or my bivvy bag has been. So the reality is that it's only really the bad cases that you see evidence of, because 10 proper wild campers, 10 respectable wild campers who genuinely love nature and the great outdoors and don't just want to come out somewhere to get drunk and leave a load of bottles lying around to slowly be smashed and slowly find their way into places that they shouldn't be. Instead, the 10 people, there'll be no evidence they were ever there. The one bad character, there will be all of the evidence they were there that could be there until some poor soul has to come along and clean up after him. And this is something that myself and my friends, going back to 2009 when I was first getting into camping, you're talking almost 2 decades ago now. Even back then we were picking up after other people in certain places, and this is something that I want to bring up. Loch Lomond in Scotland. For overseas viewers, Scotland has far more relaxed camping rules than England in general. Generally speaking, let's not get technical and pedantic, just accept that as the broad truth. Unfortunately, the beautiful area of Loch Lomond is now under various camping restrictions because people could not respect it. They were trashing the place, lighting fires, litter left everywhere. And when I was watching a video recently of somebody walking through the area, as soon as they got to the edge of the restricted zone, there was abandoned tents and all sorts of rubbish piled up there. And this is something I've stumbled upon myself around various parts of Wales, not too far from this spot in fact. And this is, again, unfortunately the truth, that the problem was so bad that they ended up completely ruining it for everybody. And this comes back to that point that I'm sure there are many genuine, respectful lovers of nature like myself who come out and try and be as invisible as possible and leave literally not even a footprint on the ground of where the tent was, who look at the people who are ruining it for us with more hatred and more derision than the people who look and think, oh, that's terrible, because they see a load of rubbish and completely unacceptable behaviour, whereas we see completely unacceptable behaviour and rubbish and being tarred with the same brush and knowing, well, this might be the end of it for us if this carries on. And that's why you'll see the genuine nature-loving wild campers out very often fetching more rubbish home than the stuff that they came out with. And this is not... What on earth is that vehicle in the distance? And this is not me trying to say, oh, look how good we all are, because we're not. We're just sensible, normal people doing what everybody should be doing. Similarly, there's landowners that I know, and there's landowners I've seen interacting with people on YouTube who are the nicest, friendliest characters that you could possibly wish to meet. The proper salt of the earth, oldie worldy characters that I absolutely love and would absolutely love to surround myself with. I can remember many years ago, me and a friend set ourselves a challenge to walk from our hometown to one of the local villages in a straight line. So of course we got a little bit naughty, crossing over fields that didn't really have public rights of way in them, and the farmer actually came down a lane that separated two of his fields on a quad bike, stopped right at the point that he knew we were going to find the fence and have to climb over it, and instead of telling us to clear off and get back to the path, he actually gave us advice of what the best route to go in as straight a line as possible would be, carrying on across his own land. And so again, this is what I'm going to say. This is not some sort of ultra extreme one point or the other point situation. This is just normal people going about their lives with maybe some characters wanting there to be a bit more of a troubled backstory and wanting there to be a bit more trouble to maybe push their own agendas forward, let's say. But the reality is that I think wild campers are very much the motorcyclists of the great outdoors. And the reason I say that is that I was walking through a local village, maybe 2 miles in that direction from this particular spot, and it was another calm sort of weekday. In Wales, you have a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit through most of the urban areas, so a long queue of cars, all trundling along nice and slowly. I haven't got any opinions on that because that's an entire series of videos, as you can imagine, talk about extreme opinions. But out of nowhere, a motorbike suddenly emerged going down the middle of the road, overtaking maybe 7 cars, coming to the brow of a small hill on the road where they couldn't see what was maybe 30 feet the other side of that brow. And probably, I'm imagining, little did they realise, because there were roadworks going on, they actually put a temporary traffic lights for a pedestrian crossing in there. So there could have been pedestrians, there could have been the cars they were overtaking slowing down because the lights had turned red and the pedestrians were about to cross, and there could of course been oncoming traffic. And I just thought that instinctive knee-jerk reaction, oh, of course there's a biker doing that, oh yeah. And I spent most of my life without owning a car, so I've cycled a pedal bike everywhere. So believe me, I know people's opinions on cyclists, never mind motorbikers. But again, the reality is, I know that particular village, on the route to Llangollen and a place called the Horseshoe Pass, really popular with motorcyclists. And I know the reality is that I've seen that one person who's been acting so recklessly, it's outraged me in that instant, that immediate, like, oh, look at that, what an idiot. However, I also know that I've seen over the years probably hundreds of motorcyclists go down that road with no problem whatsoever. And it's just these occasional people who push the boundaries, act in an irresponsible or disrespectful way, and then give me that immediate reinforcement in my head, oh, motorbike again, oh, typical. And the reality is that I've literally stood still in that village, on that road, maybe a few months, maybe a few weeks ago even, watching a Vespa club driving through as a bit of a feature. They were heading to a motor show somewhere, and they were all these polished up bikes, and goodness knows what era and how old they all were, but it was fantastic. And that's the real motorcycling experience. That's the real enthusiast experience. In fact, somebody I know who rides a motorbike quite often is probably one of the gentlest, nerdiest types of people that I could ask to meet. And yet, in that moment, immediate knee-jerk reaction from me, even with all of my experience of being friends with a motorcyclist, directly talking about bike riding and so on, And still I was like, oh, look at that idiot, oh, of course he's on a motorbike. And that, I honestly think, is the non-wild camper, the normal person, average dog walker reaction to seeing the state that some of the disrespectful wild campers leave the countryside in. And I hope at the very least that if you do see my videos and see me ruffling up the leaves with my feet so that hopefully nobody can even see that there was ever a tent there, yet alone leaving litter or fires burning or anything like that, I hope that at the very least you can once again be reminded that the vast majority of people are just normal people going about their lives, regardless of what they believe about the right to roam or being on people's land or not being on people's land. We're mainly just sensible people just trying to be happy and do things we like, aren't we? Anyway, thank you very much for watching this weird little video from the woods. It's got darker and darker and darker as I've been talking, and now I can feel the raindrops making it through the canopy of leaves above me. So I'm just gonna go. Until the next time, please do subscribe, like the video, check all of my proper wild camping videos for more excitement from the great outdoors. And if you really want to help me out, please consider. The rain's really starting to come. So I'll just say thank you to all of my supporters, whether that's PayPal, channel memberships, Facebook subscribers and super thanks and so on. Truly gratefully appreciated. But I've got to go and give somebody a lift to hospital now. I do not want to be soaked through, so I'm going to go. Thank you for listening. See ya.